Welcome to another episode of Marketing for Your Boring Business, helping your message get seen in the cluttered newsfeed. If you've listened to this show at all, we talk a lot about things that you should be doing all the time. Things like video, having a plan for your social media, and telling your story. Well, today we're going to be talking with Mary, and Mary's going to be telling us all about how you can tell your boring business's story in the sexiest, funnest way possible. Mary has one goal with her company, and that's to help people simplify their lives. With over 15 years of experience in events management, she coaches creative entrepreneurs on how to simplify and optimize the operation sides of their small business, including sales, how to hire a super team that you can trust, and how to understand and manage your books. She also coaches brands on how to produce impactful live events that wow your audience and your employees. Additionally, she's an international public speaker. She's an international public speaker who has been published in Forbes and has been featured in the top 25 young event professionals to watch. She's also a Texan native, and I am just so excited to have her on the show today. Thank you so much for being here, Mary.
Thank you for having me.
So storytelling, what does this mean? Does this mean that we all need to be like writing books and picking up, the hero's journey by Joseph Campbell? Like what does it mean to tell your story as a boring business?
Well, think about it this way. And first and foremost, I'm a simplifier at heart. So I'm always looking for ways to simplify my business as an entrepreneur, as the CEO of my company. Yes, I have a small team, but we really strive for simplicity in everything we do. And the reason why we do that is because we are moving lightning fast these days, right? There is all the shoulds of what we could be doing as a small business owner to put ourselves out there, to market ourselves, to do this, to do that. Oh, by the way, there's this other new social media platform, blah, 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 blah. And you know what happens is that we get into a hamster wheel. We go, 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 run faster, 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 but we're not actually making any forward motion and action in lives and in our business. And so what I want to talk about today, and just plant a seed in your mind, is to think about, for those that are listening right now, is think about the last time you went to go watch a movie, right? You went to the cinema and you're checking out a new blockbuster movie. You know, what makes movies so captivating to us, and why the ones that make millions upon billions of dollars is good storytelling, right? And so what if you could learn something from the most recent Star Wars or Indiana Jones or Harry Potter or any of those major movies that are out there? There are arcs to that story. And now I should point out, for the record, I love this concept, and I got it straight from being inspired from an incredibly brilliant man named Donald Miller. He is a writer, but he's also the CEO of a company called StoryBrand. And StoryBrand, if you've never heard their podcast or seen some of their stuff, they're incredible. And they have coined this concept of, major blockbuster movies use storytelling elements. And why can't the everyday average small business owner do the same?
It's a very, very simple question. It's a question that probably most people need to figure out how to do. I think
And
people
so,
get wrapped up in oh, what could I possibly have to share?
Well, and that's the thing. So the very first tenet that Donald presses on with his clients and with myself is, you, the CEO of your very small, quote unquote, boring business, are not the hero of the story. And that's a trap that we all fall into. We think, oh, well, okay, I'm supposed to talk about the awards I've won. I'm supposed to talk about all the amazing clients I've worked with. I'm supposed to talk about how I've been in this business for 15 years. Look at me, look at me. It's actually just the opposite. The first thing that you need to realize is that your client is the hero of the story, and that you are the expert or the guide that is helping them along the way on their hero's journey to solving their greatest problem or pain point. And so when Donald puts this together as part of the StoryBrand framework, I thought, God, this is so genius. I mean, it is really smart. Think about any major blockbuster movie. So Star Wars, you've got Luke Skywalker. He's the hero. Yoda is the guide. Harry Potter. Harry is the hero. His teachers are the guide. Indiana Jones, he's the hero, not the guide, right? So, you've got to realize that you are Gandalf in this conversation, not Bilbo, right? And this is very interesting stuff. So, the first step of understanding why big major blockbuster movies that are really good at storytelling are so captivating, and we fall into the rabbit hole of like watching them and getting like we feel like we're inside it. So yes, so if you have a lawn care business, right? Couldn't think of anything more boring than lawn care as a small business, right? How do you position yourself as the expert, as the guide, helping your clients have a better lawn or landscaping, right? And so, what that is simply saying is, okay, how can you use those elements of storytelling in your social media marketing, in your blogging, in your Instagram feed, if you have one, in the way that you do print ads or flyers door to door? You can use those elements and speak in your customer's language, the hero's language. And I'll tell you a couple ways of doing that.
Please, I'd love to know how we can be the Gandalfs to our customers, aka, Bilbos and Frodos.
Yes, I love it, right? So here's the big thing, right? You've probably heard this a million times over, of figuring out who your ultimate ideal client is, right? Some people call it your avatar, your profile. We call it ultimate ideal client, right? And so here is the premise on this. And again, I'm all about simplicity. Don't make this complex, you guys. There's no time for that. So the simple part is to realize, who is that one person you would love, love, love to work with over and over and over again. If you could just replicate that one client, that one person that loves to pay you money, really values what you bring to the table, right? Who is he? Who is she? And what we do is we simply say, okay, we'll give her a name. Okay, her name's Sally. Okay, how old is she? Oh, she's 25 to 45. No, what is her exact age? Okay, she's 28 years old. Brilliant. Where does she work? Where does she live? What kind of food does she eat for brunch? Does she have any food allergies? What kind of car does she drive? Does she go to church? All of these things. You're building this picture in your head of Sally, 28 years old, and she lives in this neighborhood. She drives this car. She hates her job, whatever it is, right? So then the next step in that is understanding, what is her major pain point. Now, it's 3 parts: fears, pains, and hope and vision, right? So fears is her future anticipated fear of whatever pain point you can solve for her. So let's take, for example, let's say Sally is planning a wedding, right? And you are a wedding planner. Let's just say that. That's for simplicity's sake. So her fear is deep, deep, deep down inside. Oh my God, this wedding I've had visioned all my life is never going to look like how I wanted it to, because I'm so freaking busy at work and I don't have the time to commit to this. Or maybe she's got a fear of like, oh my gosh, my future mother-in-law is driving me nuts, and she's going to like ramshackle and ram through the day of the wedding, and it's going to be all about her and it's not going to be about us. And oh my God, I'm really stressing out, right? Those are her future projected fears of whatever her problem is that she's solving. So that's 1. 2 is her pains, her current present reality, right? So this is really important. And this does apply to businesses that are not quote unquote sexy, like bookkeepers, to lawn care companies, to virtual assistants, whoever is listening to this episode right now. This applies to you and to your ultimate ideal client. So what is her current pain? And what I mean by that is literally she's up 2 o'clock in the morning on the verge of tears, sitting in her bed going, oh, I can't take anymore. I desperately need to hire somebody to help me. I'm in too deep. I'm freaking out, right? So can you imagine Sally right now, 2 o'clock in the morning, she's on the verge of tears. What is her current pain? It may be she just missed the boat on signing the contract for her venue, and so she doesn't have the venue of her dreams. Or she's just so overwhelmed at work because her boss just gave her another job, and she just literally can't take on another thing. And so she thought she could plan this wedding all by herself, but now she's like, I need to hire a wedding planner. I need to hire somebody I can trust who can do this, or this is all going to crumble apart, right? So you got to get clear on that current pain that she is having right now. And then the last part, number 3, is what are her anticipated hopes for the future, her vision for the wedding. And this is like her anticipated positive outcome for once she's hired you that will make her life so much better. So with the wedding, it's really easy. She's like, oh, I want to have it in a barn. There's going to be mason jars. She's going to have breaking bread with her family and friends. There's going to be this, this, and this. But let's say you are a lawn care company. Her future outcome might be a beautifully landscaped lawn, a lawn that she's proud of because she's wanting to show off to her neighbors. A place where her children can go outside and play on the front garden, and there's not weeds or burrs or something where they're going to get hurt, right? So it sounds silly, but even for the non-sexy businesses, the boring businesses out there, have you stopped and done this work of really identifying your ultimate ideal client and what he or she's future fears are, current pains are, and anticipated hope for the future? Yeah, that's core stuff right there.
Deep. That's a great list of things to really think about when you're trying to put together your perfect avatar, your ultimate client, for sure. So let's pretend that we already have, because we do talk about that. I think we've talked about avatar before on the podcast, and I definitely know I've done a video on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a little worksheet. I will include the link to that in the show notes on how you can help with that. But once we've identified who our ideal client is and identified their pains, future pains, current pain, and what they want from the future, how do we tell the story to them to accomplish our objective, which is get them to click something to buy, or get them to the website to make that phone call, or sign up for that email list to stay in touch, or even the best thing of all, call or email to talk about hiring?
Mm-hmm. Make a connection, right?
Yeah.
So here's where most businesses fail because they keep talking in their language. They keep talking and shouting out to other people, and they're not taking the time and talking in your ultimate ideal client's language. So Sally's words, what does she say specifically? And so that should affect and be seen in all the copywriting on your website, any blogging, the actual little flyer you leave on her front porch, right? The pictures, the graphics you use should look like her, like literally like she's looking in the mirror and reflecting back a person that looks like her, but that's slightly aspirational, meaning it's just slightly better than her current reality, right? So she's like, oh, if I hire these guys, that's what I'm going to get. And I'm going to be able to solve my greatest pains. Awesome. Brilliant. Right? And the problem is that we all keep thinking about ourselves as the hero, right? We talk in our language. We use complicated jargon that's really not simple in any way, shape, or form. We toot our own horn about the awards we've won, but we're missing the mark huge because we're not using her language. We're not talking about her pains. We're not using and really kind of nudging a little about her future fears as well. And that's where we have the misstep.
Awesome. So is there any like pointers or tips or to-dos that people need to make sure that they're putting like in their social media and other online content specifically? Like, is there like a flow or a formula or something that you have created that can really help people simplify putting it as posts? Because I know, talking to you and trying to think like our audience members, which is, okay, great, I got this story. Oh, cool, avatar. Yeah, I'm going to build that avatar. All right, yeah. And I got to like make sure my visuals and my messaging is on point to talk to them, not in my language. I don't know exactly how do I do that?
Yes. We all get bogged down in the details, right? And then that's when we give up and start day drinking or whatever it is, right? So the reality,
I think actually what happens is people just flat out ignore it.
And they go, oh, it's too hard. Oh, give it to the intern. She'll figure it out. Whatever, right?
Yeah. And you and I's perfect world, they call us and we do it for them. But, I really think it's important for people to understand what needs to be done before hiring help for sure.
Right. So first and foremost, again, in striving to be simple and easy, daily bites, taking daily action towards whatever your goal is. First and foremost, I have to tell you, my secret ninja tool is a 7-minute timer. I'm not joking. Like, you can figure out most anything in life in 7 minutes. So like, get your phone out and set a timer for 7 minutes and say, I'm going to focus on this one thing. And that very first thing might be writing down on paper, brain dumping out, who is my ultimate ideal client? Who do I love to work with? I get excited when I see their number pop up in my phone. I get energized when I meet with them in person or read their emails. Like, that's the person, and identify that first. Do the work of actually breaking down and thinking, what is her fears, pains, and goals and vision? And if you are stumped, like 7 minutes has passed, and you're like, I don't have a clue. I just want to work with anybody, right? Doesn't anyone need lawn care? Like, why do I have to determine one person? Then what you need to do, my friends, and yes, it is so simple and it's so obvious, and most people don't do this, is what? Ask your audience. Market research, right?
I
Like,
would
ask
even
them.
go far as like to put up on the phone your clients that you like the most and ask them those
Literally.
questions.
Ask the questions. And that's it. Market research is just as simple as that. Picking up the phone, asking a few questions. Keep it to like 5 minutes or less. Like, don't ask them for 45 minutes. No one answers the phone anymore, right? Or set up a quick Google form like survey that's 5 questions or less, and don't make any of the questions required. So they can opt to only answer one question and submit it to you. One bit of detail in research is better than none, right? And just genuinely ask. And then, you may not be able to come right out and say, okay, well, what's your biggest fear? That comes with a little bit of rapport and, genuinely having honest conversations with people that know, like, and trust you, right? But you can certainly ask them, like, what is your biggest struggle right now with whatever? Where do you find the biggest frustration? Do you hate it when somebody does this? And you can ask those questions periodically, and people are more than happy, I think, if they like you and they know you and they trust you, to answer a couple of questions here and there. And then you start building products and services that address those exact fears, those exact pains, and develop things that give them the vision and hope that they want. It literally is that simple.
So, in back to the question of, how do I know what to put into my words? What do you think is the simplest way to make sure that that message is getting across? Because I know that some people get really overwhelmed with the data and the information and the questions. And it still comes down to, like, I still have to write that Facebook, Instagram, Twitter post.
Yes.
How do I
How do you
accomplish
do it?
all of these things that,
Right.
that you just told me to do, Mary?
Yeah.
And
Well, the reality is, I mean, it sounds silly, but it truly is this. If you submit out a Google form to people, right, where they write responses back in, guess what you do? You copy and paste the words they used when they answered your questions. You use their language. So if you said, hey, what are you struggling the most with this particular problem? Then they say, oh, well, I'm really struggling with keeping my lawn green and not full of rodents and pests, and really just drives me crazy because I see John across the road who has a perfect lawn all the time, and I just want to have that look. Like, just use the words that they're using. I think our tendency is we think we need to be salespeople, and so we need to come up with super clever jargon and snappy lines. But the reality is, like, that the more you do that, the more you sound like a robot and you don't sound real, and people gloss right over it, right? No one likes to be sold to. They like to be heard and listened to. And this is really important. When we really define this, the next two things I'm about to say, it changed everything in the way we approach business for us. So marketing is relationship building, and sales is problem solving. Period. End of. Marketing, all your social media marketing, your blogging, your Snapchatting, your everything, whatever you are or are not doing, is literally relationship building. And your sales, like your proposal, your invoice, your sales calls, your pitch meetings, all of that is problem solving. if you can solve the problem, brilliant. They're like, right, let's work with Mary. She's awesome. Let's do the thing. And they carry on. If you can't solve the problem, no worries. I'm so sorry. Let me refer you to somebody else. Move on and move on to the next thing. When you do that and reframe that in your mind as well, you uncomplicate things, AKA simplify, in your mind as well. Because we get all wrapped up and like, oh, I'm not a copywriter. Oh, I don't know graphic design. Oh, I don't know this. What could I say? This is too overwhelming. And then we stop and we don't do anything.
Yes, and that's probably the most dangerous thing anybody could do for their business, which is stop marketing and stop selling at the same time.
Yes. Yeah. And, I mean, this better than I do. The algorithms in Facebook and Instagram, and your feed is seeing maybe 2% of the stuff you're putting out there. So I always find that small businesses are like, oh, we're posting too much, or, oh, I don't want to keep saying things, it's just too much. No one is seeing your stuff, don't.
I think people also get wrapped up in like, oh, I've already told that story. And
No,
keep telling it. But, obviously don't copy and paste it, but your story and the problems and the solutions that you have are the same, more or less. And you just need to find new ways to present it.
Yeah.
Maybe eventually you copy and paste it back over.
Yeah. Well, and there you can do A/B testing. So I don't know if your listeners are doing any email marketing, and if you use MailChimp or other tools that are out there, you can A/B test the title of the email. Like literally, it's the same email. Just slot in a different title and see if the click rate increases, right? So you can do this and literally play it like a game. Like that's what makes it fun in your mind and keeps you doing the thing as well, is look at it as a game. Look at your data, look at your analytics and on the back end of your website. Where is the traffic coming from? Where are they bouncing off from your website? What are people responding to or not? And keep throwing it out there.
Yes, definitely. We're always talking about that too, guys. Testing. You gotta try things out. I know that sometimes it stinks to spend time on something just to have it not be good, but it's better to know and keep making it better so that you can get the conversions that you want.
Totally. And, some people, their eyes might start to gloss over. You start talking about conversions and analytics and paid Facebook ads and all of that, right? And that's hopefully why they listen to you in your podcast, so they can get more confident, more comfortable with using those terms. But for me, in simplicity's sake, try one thing and test it for 30 days and track it and see, and as you become more familiar with, let's say, one social media platform, repetition is where you get confidence, and that really helps tremendously.
Yes, definitely. So any closing thoughts on making sure that we are better storytellers, Mary?
So, I have to be honest, I literally 7 years ago, I was very much, as the CEO of my business, I mean, I've been in business for 14 plus years now. 7 years ago, I was like, no. My personal life on social media lives over here, easily behind this very tall wall. My business life on social media lives way over here, and we keep these things very separate. Thank you very much. Please drive through, right? But actually, over time, I started to say, well, okay, that's interesting. Well, what if we brought these walls down? What if their boundaries are, not quite so defined like that, and a little bit more integrated? So an experiment that I've done is the Instagram feed for the simplifiers is 100% me. So I'm the one that's posting the pictures into the feed, but more importantly, I'm the one that completely controls the Instagram Insta stories. So that's the live videos that pop up and disappear after 24 hours. And what I do is I literally show behind the scenes of being the CEO of the simplifiers, and it's storytelling at its essence, right? It's not some massive set design. I'm not always wearing makeup. I mean, literally, there are moments where I'm taking the kids on a school run, and there are what I call big day Mary days, right? Like where I'm winning awards or speaking on stage or doing big stuff. But there are also little days, right? And just showing and telling the story of who I am, the CEO behind my brand. And again, building know, like, and trust, doing it in a way that's authentic. And I encourage any business owner that is listening to this episode right now to literally try it. And that's exactly what I did. It started by doing a 30-day challenge for myself that I would show up in Insta stories if I just literally posted one thing a day for 30 days and see what it's like. And, from there, I started to like really enjoy posting on there and, just showing a bit more of my personality. And yeah, I just think that that is what people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And this is just an opportunity for you to tell your story.
All parts of your story, the part that's in where you're wearing the suit and the part where it's when you go home and you're
Right.
you, the person.
Right. You're right.
So
And it's, you might be sitting there going, well, yeah, Desiree, I'm an accountant. It's just me and my computer and Excel. Yeah, I mean, like, that's interesting, but also show a behind the scenes at your office. So walk us through what it'd be like if I actually came into your office space and sat down in the conference room. Show me how you create cash flow projections, how you file taxes for clients. Like, I think it's interesting. Not everybody is going to think it's interesting, but your people, the people who are very genuinely interested in you are going to find it interesting. And show me when you take your kids to soccer practice. I mean, I think all of these things build a picture, and people like to do business with real live people. So do it.
yeah, I also find that people are more bonded with you and feel more invested in you beyond just your services when they know about you and your kids, and your husband, and what your activity is, and where you're eating and what you're up to. I know that I've built some very strong relationships with my customers because they know, like,
Mm-hmm.
I have a unique story right now. I live in Korea. They're all like super fascinated by it. And at first, of course, everyone's always like, oh my gosh, are you safe? And then, of course, after that, it's like all of the things that we're doing, all the things my kids get to do, and that we do as a family, the food, the whole process of
Yeah.
like right now we're in getting ready to move mode. So it's like people are really in the process, especially when, there are people that are like, oh, I've lived in the same town my whole
Yeah.
life. I can't imagine moving every year or two, so people just really like, I think, to get invested in you, and it builds that really strong bond and
Mm-hmm.
connection. And I think it also helps once they get to know you really well. I think it really helps with retention as well.
Huge. It's so much easier to sell a returning client than it is to capture a new client. So this is huge. And, I'm an expat just the same as you. So I'm a Texas girl through and through, but I moved to the UK nearly 4 years ago. And yeah, I mean, moving to a whole new other part of the world, we speak the same language, but we do not speak the same language. Okay, let's be very clear. And, it's interesting and fascinating. So, we get quite a bit of traction of people who watch our Insta stories. I mean, some days we might have 200 people, look at what we're posting on there. So yeah, and I think it's also interesting. Put a Texas girl in the middle of a British area, like, I'm bound to have antics that happen, right?
I bet that you really confuse them when you say y'all, don't you?
Oh, I mean, it's not a day goes by where I don't chuckle about something ridiculous. So yeah, and I think that that's true. And I think larger companies forget this touch, the personal touch of showing your leadership as real live people and kind of peeling the curtain back, Wizard of Oz style. So do it. I
Yeah.
encourage all of you.
Yeah, I think it's just most important to remember we live in an age where I don't want to say there's not any privacy, but who you are really, especially when you're in business, really needs to be on display a little bit. And yes, you still can control what's being said and what's being posted, but the more raw, the more real, the more relatable you are, the better off. And if you follow my Instagram or Mary's Instagram, you'll see the difference between like really well thought out Instagram posts, and then you go over to our stories and there's like sleep circles under my eyes because I haven't slept because I have small children, and my hair is almost always in a messy bun. And
Hmm.
I'm usually talking about like the crazy things that are going on in my life or things that have been going on, and people
Mhm.
connect and relate and like, oh my God, I've been there. Oh my God, that's so cool. Like
Yeah.
at the time of this recording yesterday, I spent all day at the Winter Olympics. Like, and I posted about it, put it on my stories, and I've gotten so many responses from people that are just like, oh my God, that's so cool. That's so amazing. What an experience. Did they win? USA, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
really great.
And I think the most important thing that you said there is not every bit of your life needs to be put on social media. You still have power and control to say what you put on and what you don't. So there are very private moments in my family's life that I definitely don't put on social media. But I just encourage you, especially if you think, well, I'm way too introverted for this, or, oh, my life is so not sexy, or whatever, just to challenge you to see what could come if you did post some things more on your business accounts.
Yes, definitely. All right, Mary, how can people find you and follow your fun Instagram stories and all the other social antics that you share?
Yeah, so we're really excited. We just launched the Simplifiers podcast. If you are a creative entrepreneur and looking for another podcast to listen to, we just literally interview very smart people around the globe who take a topic in business or in life and simplify them. Like, that's it. It's so much fun. So you can check out the Simplifiers podcast on Apple Podcasts or anywhere where you listen to podcasts. So check that out there. But yeah, anywhere on social media, you'll find us at the Simplifiers. And I hang out the most on Instagram and, like I said, on Insta stories there as well. So come by and say hello.
Awesome. Well, again, we'll have all those links in the show notes so that you can follow her podcast and you can follow them online. And of course, as always, please, if you enjoyed the show, make sure that you leave us some love on iTunes and share with your friends. And as always, Mary, thank you so much for being on the show. It was awesome. Just so good. So thank you for that.
My absolute pleasure. And you guys remember, as always, keep it simple.
And until next time, we'll see you soon.